welcome to another episode of Asking Me Questions, randomly, that I got asked on Instagram. And today we have another great question. I'm quickly going to have a look again, so I'll quote it correctly. So someone from Germany asked me, how do baristas taste the difference in coffees, and can they taste different continents? Sometimes yes. Actually, this is quite a cool question because a lot of people choose their coffee and they choose it for a brand or because they don't really know. They like the color of it, but actually if you have a look at the origin and the soil and the terroir that the origin gives us, you can assume quite a lot about the taste quality of coffees if we go by conventional fermentation techniques like washed and natural. And I'm quickly going to explain 3 different origins with their wildly different approaches. This is not set in stone. I have tasted coffees from several origins where I was just like, oh my god, this is a Brazil, I would have never thought so. But in general, there are a couple of differences. Let's start with my favorite origin, Africa. So I will always explain Africa as the Riesling region of coffee. If you have a picture of Africa in front of you, you will most likely realize that there's a lot of red earth. And this earth is red because it actually has a quite high amount of iron in it. And this is a good indicator for a high mineral content in the soil. And these minerals, they go into the plants and they spike certain acids. So coffee that's grown on very mineral rich soil usually is quite acidic and has a beautiful acidity structure. It is a bit lighter from the body. It has sometimes beautiful floral hints, especially if you go to higher elevations. But in general, I would say that African coffees have the tendency to be a little bit more fruit forward. If we go to South America, we've got a very different but also super interesting approach. Also Central and South America. So you just picture it in front of you and you have like the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. You've got lots of water and lots of water masses in the air, and they all meet. They kind of like meet on this continent, and so you've got a lot of moisture, humidity. You've got very rich nutrients in the earth and in the soil, and this is perfect for our coffee. For example, Brazil is a beautiful example. Grown in Brazil have a tendency to taste super rich and chocolatey and smooth and round. If you go to Colombia, coffees are usually grown in the wild forest there. And you have like mango trees and banana trees and whatever trees, and this also goes into the soil. So coffees from Colombia are also a little bit richer and smoother, but they have this tropical notes. And depending on where you see the country where your coffee is from, you can already on the map kind of like understand the quality of soil that is provided for our coffee to grow. So I would say Central and South American coffees have a little bit more body compared to African coffees, because they have rich nutrients in the earth, a little bit smoother, a little bit rounder. And if we travel to a lot of the Asian countries, we have nearly too much humidity. We have a lot of rainfall. We've got monsoon rains. And now imagine your little coffee plant really trying to dig its roots into the soil. And it's quite difficult because there's so much rain, for example. And all your energy goes into your roots clinging on, and this is what you can sometimes taste. There are a lot of coffees from those countries that have a slight woodiness to it, a little bit rougher. People like to call it like notes of tobacco. This again is a result because of the environment that we have around the coffee. So if you start tasting different coffees from different origins, preferably with a similar roast profile, you can start understanding how the different origins they really are the flavor actually. They make the flavor of this coffee, and this is why coffee is so interesting, because you can travel the world in one cup, and you can do blends. So you can say, I want a really acidic Ethiopian coffee, and I'm going to blend it with a very smooth Brazilian coffee, and to give it just a little bit of boost, I'm going to take a Indian monsoon Malabar, for example. And this is why coffee is so complex, and at the same time, it is not witchcraft. If you start buying very specific coffees and understanding them better, you will learn a lot, and you will be able to just really understand your taste. You understand what you like, and you understand what you want to buy, and then the next time you can go in and be like, you know what, I actually really like a coffee that has a slight jasmine note and hints of peach, and it's not too heavy. And then you're like, I would like a Ethiopian coffee, for example. That's this week's Can Baristas Taste Origin. If it's a qualified barista, if this barista tastes a lot of coffee, or even if it's just a home barista tasting a lot of coffee, probably yes. Yes, and definitely you can learn as well how to taste all of those differences. Little tip from me, maybe cutting down on very fatty food and very sugary food, cutting down smoking, and cutting down drinking alcohol is going to improve your palate a lot. Trust me, I have stopped all of this and you will just realize how much more you can taste. Thank you so much for joining me on another questions and answers with Nicole, and yeah, see you next week.